There is a window in your reality that is closing right now. Not tomorrow, not in an hour. Right now, as you are reading these words, as your eyes are moving across this sentence, as some part of you that you cannot fully name is leaning forward, right now, the window is open. And it will not be open forever. Nothing this precise ever is you. You found this transmission. That is not an accident. The fact that you are here, in this moment, watching this particular thing at this particular time, that is data. That is your consciousness sending you a signal that something is about to shift, and you need to be paying attention when it does. You need to be present at the threshold, because the threshold is here, because the window is open, and because what happens in the next several minutes of your awareness could determine which version of your life you step into next. Let that land, not as metaphor, not as spiritual decoration, as literal, functional, quantum truth. There are moments in the structure of a life, in the structure of a consciousness, where the field opens, where something that was locked becomes unlocked, where a frequency that was unavailable becomes available. Physicists have a name for this. They call it a phase transition. The moment where water stops being water and becomes ice. The moment where a superconductor stops having resistance and becomes something that conducts electricity without any loss at all. These transitions don't happen gradually. They don't creep in over weeks. They happen at a precise threshold, a specific temperature, a specific pressure, a specific frequency, and then they happen all at once. Your consciousness works the same way. There are windows in your life that open at specific moments and close at specific moments. And most people are so busy, so distracted, so caught in the noise of the ordinary that they miss them. They feel the shift beginning. They sense the opening. And then they look away. They go back to what they were doing. They tell themselves they'll pay attention later. And by the time later arrives, the window has closed. The phase transition has passed. The field has stabilized back into the old configuration. And they spend years, sometimes decades, wondering why things didn't change when they felt so certain they were about to. You are not going to be one of those people today, because you are here, because something in you recognized this signal and responded to it, because some part of your consciousness that operates below the level of your ordinary thinking, some quantum layer of you that processes reality at a frequency your analytical mind doesn't have access to, that part of you knew. It knew this was the window. It knew this was the crossing point, and it brought you here. So here is what we are going to do together. We are going to understand what this window actually is. Not as a vague feeling, not as wishful thinking, but as a precise quantum phenomenon that has a mechanism, that has a structure, that has specific characteristics you can learn to recognize. We are going to look at both sides of it, where you are right now and where you will be if you step through. We are going to understand why this window is open now and not 6 months ago and not 6 months from now. We are going to follow the story of someone who stood at this exact threshold and understand what they did and what it cost them and what they gained. We are going to do a practice together, a real one, a threshold crossing that will shift something in your nervous system and your field right now in real time while this window is still open. And then we are going to talk about what is on the other side, what actually changes, what you actually become, what the version of you that steps through this gate gets to experience that the version of you standing outside it never will. The gate is open. Let's begin. There is something that happens in quantum mechanics called a tunneling event. It is one of the strangest and most beautiful things that physics has ever documented. Here is how it works. In classical physics, in the physics of the large, visible world, if you want to move a particle from one side of a barrier to another, you need to give it enough energy to go over the barrier. Simple enough. You need the energy to climb the hill. If you don't have enough energy, you stay on your side. The barrier holds. But at the quantum level, something different happens. At the quantum level, a particle doesn't have to go over the barrier. It can go through it. It can appear on the other side without ever having climbed the hill, without having acquired the energy classically required to make the crossing. It tunnels through the barrier as if the barrier wasn't entirely solid, as if there was a layer of reality where the barrier is permeable, where the crossing is possible, where the particle can be on one side and then, in the next moment, on the other side. This is not theoretical. This is not a thought experiment. Quantum tunneling is responsible for nuclear fusion in the sun. It is responsible for the way enzymes work in your body right now. It is responsible for the scanning tunneling microscope that allows us to image individual atoms. It is real. It is documented. It is happening constantly at the most fundamental level of physical reality, in every moment of every day. And here is the thing about tunneling that matters for you right now, standing at this window. Tunneling doesn't happen all the time. It happens at specific moments when specific conditions are met. The probability of tunneling, the likelihood that a particle will make it through the barrier, is not constant. It fluctuates. It peaks. There are moments when the probability is high, and moments when it is low, and moments when the window for a particular tunneling event is effectively closed. The window you are standing at right now is exactly this. This is a moment of peak probability for a specific kind of crossing in your consciousness. The barrier that has been between who you were and who you are becoming. The barrier that has felt solid, that has felt immovable, that has made the crossing seem impossible. That barrier is currently in a state of maximum permeability. The probability of your tunneling through it is higher right now than it has been in months. Higher than it will be for months to come. This is why you found this. This is why you are here. Your consciousness, operating at a quantum level that your ordinary mind doesn't have language for, detected the peak in the probability curve. It recognized the window, and it brought you to the threshold. The question is not whether the window is real. The question is not whether the crossing is possible. The question is whether you will step through while the probability is high. Whether you will tunnel through the barrier while the field is configured for it. Whether you will cross the threshold now, when the gate is open, instead of waiting until it has closed again, and then spending the next several months wondering why the shift you felt coming never fully arrived. You have minutes left, not because of pressure, not because of artificial urgency, but because this is the actual structure of how consciousness evolves. In windows, in thresholds, in phase transitions that open and close according to their own precise timing. And this window is open right now. If this transmission is landing for you, if something in you is leaning forward right now, please like this video and subscribe. It means more of this finds you when the next window opens. Let's talk about what superposition actually means. In quantum mechanics, a particle exists in superposition before it is observed, before the measurement happens, before the wave function collapses. In superposition, the particle is not in one state or another. It is in all possible states simultaneously. It is every version of itself at once. The electron is spinning up and spinning down. The photon is going through the left slit and the right slit. The cat, in Schrödinger's famous thought experiment, is both alive and dead. This sounds like a paradox. It sounds like something that couldn't possibly apply to the world you live in, to the life you are navigating, to the choices you are facing right now. But it applies, exactly. Right now, you exist in superposition. There is a version of you that steps through this window, that crosses this threshold, that allows the shift that has been building in your consciousness to fully arrive, that lets the wave function collapse into the new state, the new configuration, the new version of your life that has been trying to emerge. That version of you is real. It is not hypothetical. It is not wishful thinking. It is an actual quantum possibility that exists in the field right now, fully formed, fully available, waiting for the observation, waiting for the choice that will collapse the superposition into reality. And there is a version of you that doesn't step through, that hesitates at the threshold, that feels the opening but steps back from it, that chooses the familiar weight of the old configuration over the unknown territory of the new one. that version is also real, also available, also a possible collapse of the current superposition. Right now, both versions are equally real. Both are present in the quantum field of your life. Both are waiting for the moment of collapse, the moment of observation, of choice, of crossing, that will determine which one becomes the reality you inhabit going forward. This is superposition, as you are actually living it. And here is what makes this moment so critical, what makes the window so precise, what makes the urgency so real. Superposition doesn't last forever. The wave function collapses, not when you decide to collapse it. The field doesn't wait for your convenience. The field collapses according to its own dynamics, its own timing, its own quantum clock. And when it collapses without a conscious choice on your part, when the window closes without you having stepped through it, it doesn't collapse into nothing. It collapses into the most probable state based on the current configuration of your energy, your patterns, your defaults, which means it collapses back into the old version. Not because the new version wasn't possible, not because you weren't capable of crossing, but because the field defaulted to the most familiar configuration when no conscious observation, no deliberate choice was made. This is why so many people feel the window opening and then find themselves, weeks later, exactly where they were before. The opening was real. The possibility was real. The new version was real. But the wave function collapsed without a conscious crossing, without a deliberate step through the gate, and the field returned to its most probable state, which was the old one. You are not going to let that happen today, because you are here, because you are paying attention, because something in you understood that this is the moment, this specific, precise, unrepeatable moment when the observation matters, when the choice is the crossing, when the act of being fully present at the threshold is itself the quantum event that shifts the collapse. You are the observer. You are the one whose attention determines which version of reality collapses into form. And your attention is here, right now, at the gate. There is a specific feeling that accompanies standing at a threshold. You have felt it before, even if you didn't have language for it. It is a feeling of being between, of being neither fully where you were, nor fully where you are going, of inhabiting a space that is somehow outside of ordinary time, a liminal space, a corridor, a passage between two rooms that is itself neither room. The ancient Greeks had a name for this. They called it the kairos moment, as opposed to chronos, the ordinary linear tick-by-tick passage of time. Kairos was the appointed time, the right moment, the moment that was charged with potential, that was ripe for a particular kind of action or crossing or transformation. Kairos was not a duration. It was a quality of time. It was the moment when the arrow needed to be released, when the word needed to be spoken, when the crossing needed to happen. And Kairos moments, unlike Chronos, do not wait. You have been living in Chronos for a while now. The ordinary passage of time, the days accumulating. The sense of something building, but not yet arriving. The feeling of standing near a door without quite being at it. That has been the approach phase, the slow movement toward the threshold that happens in ordinary time. But something shifted recently. You know what it was. You may not have named it. You may have explained it away as stress or transition, or the particular weight of this particular season of your life. But some part of you knows that what you have been experiencing recently is not ordinary. It is not just the accumulation of days. It is the approach to a threshold. It is the final movement toward a gate that has been getting closer and closer, and is now, right now, directly in front of you. The things that have been falling away, the relationships that have been clarifying, the ones that are real, and the ones that were never quite what you thought they were. The sense of an old identity becoming uncomfortable, like a coat that used to fit and suddenly doesn't. The strange stillness that descends sometimes, without warning, in the middle of ordinary moments. A stillness that feels like the world holding its breath. The dreams that have been different. The thoughts that arrive from somewhere you can't quite locate. The sense that something is about to change, has already begun to change, is changing right now, whether you are ready or not. That is not anxiety. That is not instability. That is not something to manage or medicate or explain away. That is the approach to the gate. That is your consciousness moving through the final corridor before the threshold. That is the quantum field reorganizing itself around the imminent phase transition. That is reality preparing for your crossing. And the crossing is now. The Kairos moment is here. The window is open. The gate is in front of you. And you have minutes left before the Chronos clock catches up with the Kairos moment and the window begins to close. This is not a metaphor for taking action someday. This is not encouragement to eventually get around to changing your life. This is a precise description of a quantum event that is happening in your consciousness right now. An event that has a specific window, a specific duration, a specific moment of maximum probability. And that window is open right now, and it will not be open in exactly this way again. The gate is open. Can you feel it? Think about your own life for a moment. Has there been a threshold you crossed where there was no going back? A moment when you knew in your body that everything had just shifted? Drop it in the comments. The community reading those words may be standing at the exact threshold you already crossed. Let's talk about what is on both sides of this gate, because you need to see it clearly, not as a vague sense of better or worse, not as an abstract hope for improvement, You need to see both sides with precision, with specificity, with the kind of clarity that only comes from standing directly at the threshold and looking both ways. Behind you, the side you are on right now, the side that is about to become the old version, there is something that has been serving a purpose. Let's honor that before we leave it behind. The configuration you have been living in, the patterns, the stories, the ways of being that have defined this chapter of your life. They were not mistakes. They were not failures. They were the precise configuration that your consciousness needed in order to arrive at this threshold. Every version of you that has existed up to this moment has been doing exactly what it needed to do to get you here, to get you to the gate. So there is no judgment for where you have been. There is only recognition that it served its purpose, and that its purpose is now complete. But let's also be honest about what is behind you, about what the old configuration actually feels like to inhabit, because this is part of what makes the crossing possible, seeing clearly what you are leaving, not just what you are moving toward. Behind you is the weight of a self-concept that no longer fits. The story you have been telling about who you are, what is possible for you, what you deserve, what you are capable of. That story was written in a previous chapter, and it has been running on autopilot in this one. And you have felt it. You have felt the friction between who you are becoming and who the story says you are. You have felt the exhaustion of trying to be the new version while still carrying the old narrative. You have felt the way the old configuration limits you, not because you aren't capable, but because the story you are operating from was written before you knew what you know now, before you became who you have become. Behind you is also the comfort of the known. And this is important to name, because it is the thing that keeps most people standing at the gate instead of stepping through it. The old configuration is uncomfortable, yes. It is constraining, yes. It no longer fits, yes, but it is known. It is familiar. You know how to navigate it. You know what to expect from it. You know its textures and its rhythms and its particular brand of limitation. And there is a part of the nervous system, a very old, very deep part, that prefers the known limitation to the unknown possibility. That would rather stay in the familiar cage than risk the open skung. That part of you is not your enemy. It is your protector. It has kept you safe. It has kept you alive. It has done its job, but its job is done. Because on the other side of this gate, and this is what you need to feel, not just understand, feel. On the other side of this gate is a version of your life that has been waiting for you. Not as a fantasy, not as a projection, as a real, available, quantum mechanically valid state of being that is currently in superposition and is waiting for your crossing to collapse it into form. On the other side of this gate is the version of you that is no longer running on the old story. That is operating from a self-concept that actually matches who you have become. That is not spending energy every day on the friction between the old narrative and the new reality. That energy, all of that energy that has been going into maintaining the gap between who you are and who the story says you are, that energy comes back to you. It becomes available. It becomes yours to direct. On the other side of this gate is the version of you that has crossed the threshold you have been approaching for months, for some of you for years. That has made the quantum jump. That has let the wave function collapse into the new configuration. That is no longer in the liminal corridor, but has arrived in the new room. And the new room is not perfect, not without its own challenges, not a paradise free from difficulty, but it is real. It is alive. It is the actual terrain of who you are becoming, rather than the waiting room of who you used to be. On the other side of this gate is arrival, not the arrival of everything being solved or finished or complete, but the arrival of being in alignment with the version of your life that is actually yours, the one that matches the frequency you have been developing, the consciousness you have been expanding, the being you have been becoming through all of it. The gate is between these two things, and the gate is open, and you are standing at it right now. Now let's talk about why now, because this is the question that matters most, and it is the question that most people don't ask clearly enough. Why is the window open right now? Why is this the threshold moment and not 6 months ago or 6 months from now? What is the mechanism that makes this particular moment the crossing point? The answer lives in the physics of phase transitions. When water approaches the freezing point, something happens in the molecular structure long before the actual transition occurs. The molecules begin to organize differently. They begin to move in patterns that are preliminary to the crystalline structure of ice. The hydrogen bonds begin to form in configurations that are proto-ice, even while the substance is still liquid. The system is preparing for the transition. It is doing the pre-transition work at the molecular level, while still appearing at the macroscopic level, to be the same water it always was. And then, at exactly 0 degrees Celsius, at the precise threshold, the transition happens. All at once. The entire system reorganizes into the new configuration simultaneously. Not gradually, not partially. The whole thing crosses at once. Your consciousness has been doing the pre-transition work. Everything that has happened in your life over the past months, the things that have been clarifying, the things that have been falling away, the understanding that has been deepening, the old patterns that have been becoming more visible and therefore less automatic, the new ways of being that have been becoming more natural even as the old ones still run. All of that has been the molecular level reorganization. the pre-transition work, the preparation for the crossing. And now, right now, you have reached 0 degrees. You have reached the precise threshold where the pre-transition work is complete and the actual transition is available, where the crossing can happen, where the gate is open, not as a possibility, but as an imminent reality, as the next thing that happens if you step through it consciously, rather than waiting for the field to collapse on its own. This is why now, not because of anything external, not because of the date or the season or the particular configuration of planets, because of the internal temperature of your consciousness, because of the degree of preparation that has been happening at the level below your ordinary awareness, because you have been doing the work, even on the days when it didn't feel like work, even on the days when it felt like nothing was happening, even on the days when the old patterns seemed as strong as ever. The work has been happening. The preparation has been complete. The threshold has been reached, and the gate is open. There is also something else about why now that deserves to be named directly. The window closes not as a threat, not as manipulation, as physics. Phase transitions don't wait indefinitely. The system doesn't hold at the precise threshold temperature forever. It either crosses or it returns to the previous state. The window of maximum probability for the tunneling event doesn't remain open indefinitely. It peaks and then it passes. The Kairos moment doesn't stretch into Chronos indefinitely. It is what it is, a specific quality of time with a specific duration. And then the ordinary clock resumes. If you are here, if you found this, if something in you recognized this signal, then you are at the threshold. The window is open. The probability is peaked. The field is configured for the crossing, and the window will not be open in exactly this way again. That is not a reason to panic. It is a reason to be present, to be fully here, to give this moment the quality of attention it deserves, the kind of attention that is itself the quantum event, the observation that collapses the superposition, the conscious crossing that makes the phase transition happen all at once, instead of waiting for the field to default back to the old configuration. You are at the gate. The gate is open, and you have minutes left. There was someone, let's call her Mara, who stood at a threshold very much like this one. Mara had spent years building a life that looked, from the outside, like exactly what she had been told to want. The career that was respectable and stable, the apartment that was comfortable, the relationships that were functional, the routines that were reliable. And none of it was wrong, exactly. None of it was a mistake, exactly. But somewhere in the middle of it, somewhere between the career and the apartment and the routines, she had lost the thread of something. Some quality of aliveness that she remembered having before she got busy constructing the life that was supposed to contain it. She felt it as a low hum, a frequency beneath the ordinary frequency of her days, like a radio station coming in just under the surface of the station she was tuned to, present enough to feel, not clear enough to hear. And for a long time, she told herself it was just the way life was. That the aliveness she remembered was a young person's luxury, that the hum was just dissatisfaction, and dissatisfaction was just immaturity, and she should be grateful for what she had built. But the hum didn't go away. It got louder. Not in a dramatic way, not in a way that announced itself or demanded attention, just steadily, quietly, persistently, louder, until the day came. And she remembered this day exactly. She could tell you the quality of the light, and the temperature of the air, and the particular stillness of the afternoon. When she was sitting at her desk in the middle of an ordinary workday, doing something completely unremarkable, and the hum became a tone, clear, precise, unmistakable. And she heard it, not metaphorically. She heard it, a frequency in her chest that she had been suppressing for so long that when it finally broke through the ordinary noise of her life, it felt like the first real sound she had heard in years. And the tone said, not in words, but in the unmistakable language of the body, of the field, of the quantum layer of consciousness that operates below the ordinary mind. The tone said, "It is time." She didn't know what it was time for. She didn't have a plan or a vision or a clear sense of what was on the other side of the gate she suddenly knew she was standing at. She just knew, with the kind of knowing that is more certain than any thought, more solid than any analysis, that she was at a threshold, that something was about to change, that the window was open. And she did what most people do when they feel the window open. She got busy. She made herself more productive. She added more to her schedule. She signed up for a course, joined a project, made plans with people she hadn't seen in a while. She filled every available space in her days with activity and noise and the comfort of forward motion. Not because she was avoiding the gate. She would have denied that if you'd asked her. But because the gate was terrifying. Because standing at the threshold of a change you can feel but cannot see is one of the most disorienting experiences a human consciousness can have. Because the old configuration, for all its weight and friction and misalignment, was known, and the new one was not. So she got busy, and the window stayed open for a while. Windows do, and she stayed busy. And then, slowly, the hum began to quiet again. Not because it was gone, but because she had successfully buried it under enough noise that she could no longer hear it clearly. And the quality of time shifted from Kairos back to Chronos. And the window gradually closed. She knew it when it happened. She felt the closing the way you feel the temperature drop when a door swings shut. A specific, precise, unmistakable shift in the quality of the air. And she told herself it was fine, that there would be another window, that she could do this later, that she wasn't ready yet, and it was better to wait until she was. 3 years passed. 3 years of the hum being quieter. 3 years of the life that looked right from the outside. 3 years of the routines and the stability and the functional relationships. And then, because consciousness doesn't abandon you, because the gate doesn't disappear just because you missed the first opening, because the quantum field is more patient than any of us deserve. The window opened again. Different circumstances this time. Different external triggers. The same internal frequency. The same tone in the chest. The same unmistakable knowing that she was at a threshold. And this time, she recognized it. Not because she had become braver in the intervening 3 years. Not because she had done some specific work or acquired some specific insight that she hadn't had before, but because she had felt the closing the first time. She had felt what it was to be at the gate and step back from it and watch the window close. She had lived 3 more years in the old configuration, and she had felt every day of the gap between who she was and who the story said she was. She had paid the price of hesitation in the currency of her own aliveness, and she was not willing to pay it again. So she stood at the threshold. She did not get busy. She did not fill the space with noise. She let the tone be what it was, clear, present, unmistakable. She let herself feel the terror of the unknown on the other side of the gate. She let herself feel the pull of the familiar on the side she was standing on. She held both. She breathed into both. And then she stepped through. Not dramatically, not with a grand gesture or a complete overhaul of her external life. The crossing, when it actually happened, was quiet. It was interior. It was a shift in the quality of her relationship to herself, a collapse of the superposition, a phase transition, a moment where the old configuration stopped being the operating system and the new one began to run. It happened in a breath, in a moment of stillness, in the space between one heartbeat and the next. And everything changed, not all at once in the external world. The career didn't transform overnight. The apartment was the same. The routines were largely the same. But the frequency of her inhabiting them was different. The hum was gone, not because it had been silenced, but because she was now on the same frequency as the tone that had been calling her. The gap between who she was and who she was becoming had closed. The friction was gone. The energy that had been going into maintaining the gap came back to her. And from that new configuration, from that new frequency, from that new side of the gate, the external world began to reorganize itself around her. Not all at once, not without effort, but in the direction of alignment rather than the direction of drift, in the direction of the life that was actually hers, rather than the life that had been constructed to look like what was expected. Mara's story is not unusual. It is, in fact, the most common story there is. The story of a consciousness approaching a threshold, feeling the window open, hesitating, and then either crossing or watching the window close. What made her story end the way it did was not extraordinary courage or extraordinary circumstance. It was recognition. It was the willingness to see the gate for what it was, a precise quantum event, a specific window, a moment of maximum probability, and to step through it while it was open, rather than waiting for a certainty that the nature of thresholds never provides. The certainty comes after the crossing, not before. This is the thing that most people misunderstand about gates and thresholds and windows. They stand at the edge and they wait for certainty before they step through. They wait to know what is on the other side. They wait to feel ready. They wait for the fear to subside and the confidence to arrive and the path to be clearly visible before they take the first step. But that is not how gates work. The clarity is on the other side. The certainty is on the other side. The readiness is on the other side. The gate doesn't open because you are ready. The gate opens because it is time, and you become ready by crossing, not before. Mara became ready the moment she stepped through, not a moment before. And you are standing at the same threshold she was standing at, with the same gate in front of you, with the same window open, with the same superposition of versions, the one that crosses and the one that steps back, both equally real right now, both waiting for the collapse. The question is not whether you are ready. The question is whether you will cross. Where in your own life have you felt the window closing? The moment you knew you had hesitated too long and the field had shifted back. Leave it in the comments. That recognition, named out loud, is itself a form of threshold crossing. This transmission opens the gate. But the full crossing, from the gap between the frequency you have been performing and the one you are actually broadcasting, all the way through to sealed coherence, is mapped in complete detail in the sealed timeline. A quantum guide to becoming untouchable by wrong frequencies. It walks you through the exact 5-phase sequence that makes the crossing irreversible, from diagnosis through threshold to the moment your field becomes a sealed, stable signal that incoherent frequencies mechanically cannot penetrate. You will find it in the description below. There is a practice we are going to do together right now, not as a metaphor, not as a visualization exercise in the sense of imagining something pleasant and hoping it manifests, as a real, functional quantum practice, a deliberate act of observation that collapses the superposition, that initiates the phase transition, that begins the actual crossing of the threshold you are standing at. This is the practice of threshold crossing, and we are going to do it now, while the window is open, while the probability is peaked, while the gate is in front of you. Find a position that is comfortable but alert, not so relaxed that you drift. This is not a meditation for drifting. This is a practice for crossing. You need to be present. You need to be here, in your body, at the threshold. Feel the weight of yourself, the specific gravity of this particular body, in this particular moment, on this particular side of the gate. Feel the ground beneath you, the floor, the chair, whatever is supporting you right now. Feel it as the ground of the old configuration. The solid, known, familiar ground of the version of you that has been navigating this chapter of your life. Notice what it feels like to stand on this ground, not with judgment, not with the urgency to leave it. Just notice. What is the texture of it? What is the weight of it? What is the particular quality of the air on this side of the gate? The familiar weight of the old story. The known friction of the gap between who you are and who the story says you are. The particular brand of exhaustion that comes from maintaining a configuration that no longer fits. Feel it clearly. Let it be what it is. Now, and this is the quantum part. This is the part that matters. Bring your attention to the edge, not to what is on the other side yet, not to the new configuration, the new version, the new frequency, just to the edge itself, the threshold, the precise line between the old state and the new one, the place where one version of you ends and another begins. Can you feel it? It may feel like a slight pressure in your chest, a quality of electricity in your awareness, a sense of something very close, something that is right there, just at the edge of your perception, just at the boundary of what you can see from where you are standing. It may feel like the moment before a door opens, the moment before a word is spoken, the moment before everything changes. That is the gate. That feeling, that precise, electric, slightly terrifying, deeply alive feeling, that is the gate. Stay with it. Don't move through it yet. Just be at it. Let yourself be at the threshold. Let yourself feel the full weight of standing at the edge of a crossing. The pull of the familiar behind you, and the pull of the unknown in front of you, and the precise, crystalline reality of the gate itself right here, right now, right in front of you. Breathe. In through the threshold, out through the threshold. Let your breath cross the edge with each cycle. In from the new side, out from the old side. Let your breathing be the first thing that crosses. Let your lungs fill with the frequency of what is on the other side, while your feet are still on this side. Notice what the air from the other side tastes like. It may taste like relief, like the particular relief of arriving somewhere you have been traveling toward for a long time without knowing you were traveling. It may taste like aliveness, that specific, unmistakable quality of being fully present in a moment that matters, in a moment that is real, in a moment that is not the ordinary chronos of accumulated days, but the kairos of the threshold, the appointed time, the moment the arrow is released. It may taste like fear, and if it does, let it. Fear at the threshold is not a signal to stop. It is a signal that you are actually at the threshold, that this is real, that the crossing is real, that what is on the other side is real. Fear at the gate is the body's way of confirming that the gate is there. Keep breathing. Now, and we do this together, not alone, because crossing is always easier when you know someone has already crossed and is standing on the other side reaching back. Now, in your own time, in your own breath, in your own moment of readiness that arrives not before the crossing, but at the crossing itself. Step through, not dramatically, not with a grand gesture, just a quality of permission, a quality of yes, a quality of allowing the wave function to collapse into the new configuration, a quality of letting the phase transition happen, of not holding the temperature at 0 degrees, but letting it drop, letting the water become ice, letting the old state give way to the new one. Let the superposition collapse. Let the old configuration release its hold on your field. Not with force. You don't push through a quantum gate. You allow the crossing. You become permeable to it. You stop maintaining the barrier between who you were and who you are becoming, and you let the tunneling happen. You let yourself be on the other side. Breathe. Feel the ground on this side. It is the same room, the same body, the same physical reality, but the frequency is different. The operating system is different. The story that is running is different. Not because you have changed everything, you haven't. Not because the external world has transformed, it hasn't, not yet. But because the internal configuration has shifted, because the wave function has collapsed, because the phase transition has occurred. You are on the other side. Breathe. Let yourself be here, in this new frequency, in this new configuration, in this new version of yourself that has been waiting, not outside of you, not in some distant future, but right here, right on the other side of the gate that was always right in front of you. You have crossed. The gate is behind you now, and there is no going back. Let's talk about what actually changes when you cross a threshold like this. Not in the abstract, not in the language of spiritual aspiration. In the concrete, functional, lived reality of what is different on the other side. The first thing that changes is the cost of being yourself. On the old side of the gate, in the old configuration, running the old story, there is a constant, low-level expenditure of energy required just to maintain the gap between who you are and who you are operating as. Every day, some portion of your available energy goes into the friction of that gap. into the effort of being in a configuration that doesn't quite fit, into the maintenance of a self-concept that doesn't quite match the consciousness you have actually developed. This is not a dramatic expenditure. It doesn't announce itself. It is just always there, always running, always drawing from the same pool of energy that you need for everything else, for creativity, for connection, for the actual work of your life. When you cross the threshold, that expenditure stops. The energy comes back, not all at once, not in a dramatic rush, but steadily, reliably, over the days and weeks following the crossing. You notice that you have more energy for the things that matter, more capacity for the work that is actually yours to do, more presence in your relationships, your creativity, your engagement with the world. Not because you have added something, because you have stopped subtracting, because the maintenance cost of the old configuration is no longer being paid. This is one of the most practically significant changes that happens after a threshold crossing, and it is one of the least discussed. Everyone talks about what you gain when you step through a gate. Very few people talk about what you stop losing. But the cessation of the loss is often more transformative than the acquisition of the gain, because it is immediate, it is real, and it frees up resources that have been unavailable for a very long time. The second thing that changes is the direction of drift. In the old configuration, the default direction of drift, the direction your life moves when you are not actively steering, is backward, toward the old patterns, toward the old story, toward the old version of yourself that the old operating system keeps trying to reinstall. You have to actively work against the drift just to maintain the progress you have made. The current is against you. On the other side of the gate, the drift changes direction. The default direction of drift becomes forward, toward the new configuration, toward the version of your life that is aligned with who you actually are. The current is with you now. You still have to navigate. You still have to make choices. You still have to do the work. But the work is different when the current is with you. It is the work of steering rather than the work of swimming upstream. It is effort in the direction of expansion rather than effort against the direction of collapse. This is what people mean when they talk about things beginning to flow after a threshold crossing. It is not magic. It is physics. The current has changed direction. The drift is now your ally rather than your adversary. The third thing that changes is what you can see. From the old side of the gate, the new configuration is invisible. Not because it doesn't exist. It does. It is fully real. It is a valid quantum state of your life. But because you cannot see from where you are standing what is on the other side of the barrier. The barrier is opaque from this side. You can sense what is there. You can feel the frequency of it. You can know at the level below ordinary knowing, that there is something on the other side worth crossing for. But you cannot see it clearly. You cannot map it. You cannot plan for it. You can only trust it. On the other side, you can see. Not everything. The new configuration has its own mysteries, its own next thresholds, its own gates that have not yet opened. But you can see the terrain you are standing in. You can see the resources available to you. You can see the direction of the path. You can see what the next step is, not the entire journey, but the next step, which is all you ever actually need. This is the clarity that comes after the crossing, not before. This is why waiting for clarity before you cross is the fundamental misunderstanding of how thresholds work. The clarity is the reward for crossing, not the prerequisite for it. The fourth thing that changes, and this is the one that matters most, the one that everything else flows from, is who you know yourself to be. In the old configuration, you know yourself as someone who is approaching a threshold, who is becoming, who is not quite there yet, who is in the process of change but has not yet arrived. This is not a bad place to be. It is, in fact, a necessary place to be, and you have inhabited it with integrity. But it has its own particular limitation, its own particular weight. The identity of becoming is always slightly provisional, always slightly incomplete, always carrying the implicit question, but have you actually crossed? Have you actually changed? Are you actually the new version? Or are you still the old one trying to become the new one? On the other side of the gate, that question is answered. You are no longer becoming. You have crossed. You are the new version. Not perfectly, not without ongoing development, not without your own growth edges and your own next thresholds. But you are on the other side. The crossing has happened. The phase transition is complete. The wave function has collapsed into the new configuration. And the identity that lives on this side of the gate is not provisional. It is arrived. It is here. It is real. This is what arrival feels like. Not the end of the journey. Not the completion of all growth. Not the absence of challenge or difficulty or the ongoing work of being alive. But the end of this particular crossing. The arrival on this particular other side. The beginning of inhabiting the new configuration rather than approaching it. You are here. You have crossed. This is the other side. Now, there is something that needs to be said about what happens in the hours and days immediately following a threshold crossing. Because this is where most people lose what they have gained. Not because the crossing wasn't real, not because the phase transition didn't happen, but because the old configuration doesn't simply disappear the moment you cross the gate. It doesn't evaporate. It doesn't cease to exist. It persists. Not as the operating system, that has changed, but as a kind of residue, as the energetic equivalent of the old patterns that have been running for years and don't immediately stop just because a new configuration has taken over. Like how a superconductor that has been cooled to its critical temperature still carries some thermal fluctuations for a while before the new state stabilizes fully. Like how water that has just crossed the freezing point still has some liquid regions as the crystalline structure forms throughout the whole volume. The transition is real, but the stabilization takes time. And in that stabilization period, in the hours and days after the crossing, the old patterns will make their presence known. Old thoughts will arise. Old fears will surface. Old stories will attempt to reinstall themselves. And if you are not prepared for this, if you don't know what it is, it can feel like the crossing didn't happen. Like you are back where you started. Like the gate closed behind you, and you are somehow on the old side again. You are not. The threshold has been crossed. The wave function has collapsed. The phase transition has occurred. The old patterns that are surfacing are not evidence that the crossing was unsuccessful. They are evidence that the stabilization is in process. They are the thermal fluctuations of a system that has just undergone a state change. They are the last expression of the old configuration as the new one establishes itself throughout the whole volume of your consciousness. The practice in this period is not to fight the old patterns, not to be alarmed by them, not to take them as evidence that nothing has changed. The practice is to notice them with the clarity of someone who has already crossed, to see them from the other side of the gate, where they appear as what they are. Residue, not reality, echoes of the old configuration, not the configuration itself. You have crossed. The stabilization is happening. Let it happen. There is also something to say about the temptation, and it is a real temptation, and it is worth naming directly. The temptation to announce the crossing before it has stabilized, to tell everyone what has shifted, to perform the new configuration before it has fully established itself. This comes from a real place, from the excitement of arrival, from the relief of having crossed, from the genuine desire to share what has happened. But it carries a risk. The new configuration is real, but it is also new. It is in the process of stabilizing, and the act of performing it before it has stabilized, of declaring it to the world before it is fully formed, can actually interfere with the stabilization process, can introduce the noise of others' responses and projections and doubts into the field before the new state is solid enough to hold its own against them. Let the crossing stabilize in quiet first. Let the new configuration become solid before you bring it into contact with the external world. Not forever, not as a secret to be kept indefinitely, but for long enough that when you do bring it into contact with the world, it is from a place of solidity rather than a place of seeking confirmation. crossing doesn't need to be confirmed by anyone. It happened. You know it happened. Let that be enough for now, while the stabilization completes. There is a question that arises at every threshold, and it is the question that has stopped more crossings than any other. More than fear, more than uncertainty, more than the pull of the familiar. This question, more than anything else, is the reason people stand at the gate and don't step through. The question is, what if I lose something I can't get back? What if the crossing costs me something essential? What if the new configuration doesn't include something that the old one had? Something that mattered, something that was real, something that was genuinely good, even within the limitation and the friction and the misalignment? What if, in stepping through the gate, I leave behind something I will spend the rest of my life missing? This question deserves a real answer, not reassurance, not the spiritual equivalent of, "Don't worry, it will all be fine." A real answer. Yes, you will lose something. Every threshold crossing involves a real loss. Not just the loss of limitation, though that is real. Not just the loss of friction, though that is real, but the loss of something that was genuinely part of you, some aspect of the old configuration that had value, that had texture, that was real. The version of you that existed on the old side of the gate, that version is real. It has a history and a substance and a particular quality of being that is its own. And when you cross, that version doesn't come with you. It can't. The crossing is the crossing. The phase transition is the phase transition. You don't take ice into the water. This is a real loss, and it deserves to be grieved. Not before the crossing. Grief before the crossing becomes the reason not to cross, but after. After the stabilization has begun. After you are solid enough on the new side to look back at the old one with clear eyes. After you have enough ground under you that you can acknowledge what was real about where you were without it pulling you back. The grief is part of the crossing. It is not evidence that the crossing was wrong. It is evidence that the old configuration was real. That it mattered, that it had substance, that the version of you that lived in it was alive and present and genuine. Honoring that grief is how you honor that version of yourself. How you complete the crossing with integrity rather than with the kind of forced positivity that pretends the old side had nothing worth keeping. It had things worth keeping. You carry what was genuinely yours. The wisdom, the love, the understanding, the growth. These don't stay behind. They are the very things that brought you to the threshold in the first place, that made the crossing possible, that are the foundation of the new configuration. What stays behind is the limitation, the friction, the misalignment, the story that no longer fits, the configuration that was right for where you were and is no longer right for where you are going. The gate is precise in this way. It keeps what is real and releases what is no longer serving. Trust it. And when the grief comes, and it will come, because you are human, because the crossings of consciousness are not painless, because anything real costs something, let it come. Let it be what it is. Let it honor what was real. And then let it complete, because you are on the other side now. And the other side is where you were always going. Let's talk about the quantum mechanics of what just happened. Because something did happen. In the practice we did together, in the threshold crossing, in the moment of stepping through, something shifted in the quantum field of your consciousness. Not as metaphor, as a real, measurable, functional change in the way your nervous system and your field are organized. Here is the physics of it. Consciousness operates as a field, not in the vague, New Age sense of that word, but in the precise physical sense. A field that has a frequency, that has a structure, that interacts with other fields, that can be in different states, that undergoes phase transitions. The quantum field of your consciousness is not separate from the quantum field of physical reality. It is part of it. It participates in it. It is shaped by it and shapes it simultaneously. When you stand at a threshold, when you are in the liminal space between the old configuration and the new one, your field is in a state of superposition. Both configurations are present simultaneously. The old one and the new one. The version of you that is leaving and the version of you that is arriving. This is not comfortable. Superposition is inherently unstable. It is the state of maximum potential, but minimum definition. It is the state of all possibilities before any one of them becomes real. The practice we did together, the threshold crossing visualization, the deliberate act of stepping through, was an act of observation in the quantum mechanical sense. It was the introduction of a conscious observer into the superposition. And as quantum mechanics tells us, the act of observation collapses the superposition. It selects one of the possible states and makes it real. It ends the liminal instability and initiates the phase transition into the new configuration. This is not a small thing. This is the most fundamental act available to a conscious being. The act of observation that collapses possibility into reality. The act of choosing which version of the superposition becomes the one that actually happens. The act of being the quantum observer of your own life. You just did that. The observation has been made. The superposition has been collapsed. The phase transition has been initiated. The new configuration is in the process of becoming the operating reality of your consciousness. This is what the window was for. This is why the timing mattered. because the window of maximum probability for this particular collapse, for this particular phase transition in your particular consciousness, was open right now. And you were here, and you made the observation, and the wave function collapsed. There is no going back from this, not because the gate is locked behind you, but because the collapse is irreversible. Once a quantum state has been observed, once a superposition has been collapsed, the system cannot return to the superposition state. The information of the observation has been incorporated into the field. The phase transition has occurred. The new configuration is real. You are on the other side. The gate is behind you. And the version of you that was on the old side, the version that was approaching, that was becoming, that was standing at the threshold, that version has completed its purpose. It brought you here. It did the work of the approach. It navigated the corridor between the old room and the new one. And now it has dissolved into the new configuration, as it was always meant to do. You are the new version. You have always been the new version, in the sense that the new version was always the direction you were heading, always the quantum state you were moving toward. But now you are it, in the sense that matters, in the sense of having crossed, of having been observed, of having collapsed from possibility into reality. Welcome to the other side. There is a community of people who have stood at this threshold, who have felt the window open and felt the pull of the familiar and felt the terror of the unknown and stepped through anyway, who have crossed the gate while it was open rather than waiting for a certainty that thresholds never provide, who are living right now in the new configuration, in the frequency of the other side, and who know what you are experiencing right now because they have experienced it themselves. You are part of that community now, not because of any membership or affiliation or external marker, but because you have crossed, because you have made the observation that collapses the superposition, because you have stepped through the gate while it was open and arrived on the other side, because you are now living at the frequency of someone who crosses thresholds rather than the frequency of someone who approaches them and steps back. This is a real distinction. There are people who spend their entire lives approaching thresholds and stepping back, who feel the windows open and close, and never quite step through, who are always becoming, never arriving, who are always at the gate but never through it. And there is no judgment in this. The approach is real. The becoming is real. The work of moving toward the threshold is real and necessary and valuable. But it is not the same as crossing. And the people who cross, the people who step through while the window is open, who make the observation, who let the wave function collapse, those people inhabit a different frequency, a different relationship to change and possibility and the structure of their own lives. You are now in that frequency. And what you will find, what the people who have crossed will tell you, what is consistent across every threshold crossing story, is that the next gate appears sooner. That having crossed one threshold, the next one becomes visible faster. That having demonstrated to your own consciousness that you are the kind of being who crosses when the window is open, the windows begin to appear more frequently. Not because reality is rewarding you, but because your frequency now matches the frequency of someone for whom thresholds are crossings rather than barriers. And you see what you are the frequency of. The gate crossers see gates. The gate approachers see walls. You have crossed. You will see gates. And when the next one appears, and it will appear sooner than you expect, in a form you probably won't anticipate, you will recognize it. You will feel the window open. You will feel the pull of the familiar and the pull of the unknown. And you will know, from having crossed this one, that the clarity is on the other side. That the certainty comes after the crossing. That the readiness arrives at the threshold, not before it. And you will step through. Because that is who you are now. That is the version of you that exists on this side of the gate. There is something that needs to be said about the nature of these windows, about why they appear when they do, about what determines their timing, about the relationship between your consciousness and the quantum field that creates them. The windows are not random. They are not arbitrary. They are not distributed evenly through time like regular intervals on a clock. They appear at specific moments that are determined by the internal state of your consciousness, by the degree of preparation that has been happening at the quantum level, by the frequency you have been developing, by the work you have been doing, even on the days when it didn't feel like work. This is important because it means the window that just opened, the one you just stepped through, is not the product of luck or coincidence or the right moment happening to arrive. It is the product of everything you have been doing and being and becoming over the time that led to this moment. The window opened because you were ready for it to open. Not ready in the sense of being certain or fearless or fully prepared. Ready in the sense of having done enough of the pre-transition work at the molecular level that the threshold could be reached. Ready in the sense that the internal temperature of your consciousness arrived at 0 degrees. You created this window. Not consciously, not deliberately, not through some specific practice or technique, but through the accumulation of your own becoming. Through the work of being alive and conscious and growing, even imperfectly, even inconsistently, even on the days when it felt like nothing was happening and everything was stuck. That work created this window. And the next window will be created the same way, by the accumulation of who you are becoming on this side of the gate, by the work of inhabiting the new configuration with integrity, by the ongoing practice of being the version of yourself that has crossed, that operates from the new frequency, that navigates from the new configuration, that is no longer maintaining the gap between who you are and who the story says you are. The next window is already forming, not urgently. You don't need to rush toward it, not anxiously. You don't need to worry about missing it, but it is forming. The pre-transition work of the next crossing is already underway, in the background, below the level of ordinary awareness, in the quantum layer of your consciousness that is always already doing the work. Your job right now is not to find the next gate. Your job right now is to inhabit this side of the one you just crossed, to let the stabilization complete, to let the new configuration become solid, to let the energy that has been freed up by the cessation of the maintenance cost begin to flow in the direction of what is actually yours to do, to let the drift that has changed direction carry you forward rather than fighting it. Your job right now is to be here, on this side, in this frequency, in this version of yourself that has arrived. The next gate will appear when it appears. And when it does, you will recognize it. You will feel the window open. You will stand at the threshold, and you will cross. But right now, this moment, this breath, this arrival, right now, be here. You crossed. You are here. This is the other side. Let's talk about integration. Because this is the phase that determines whether the crossing becomes permanent or whether it fades, whether the new configuration stabilizes fully or whether the old one gradually reasserts itself in the absence of conscious attention. Integration is not a dramatic process. It is not a single practice or a single moment. It is the ongoing, daily, ordinary work of living from the new configuration, of making choices from the new frequency, of letting the new operating system run rather than reaching back for the old one out of habit. There are 3 practices of integration that matter most in the period immediately following a threshold crossing. The first is noticing. Simply noticing, throughout each day, what is different. Not in a forced or effortful way, not by trying to catalogue every change or measure every shift, just by bringing a quality of attention to the texture of your experience that allows you to register what is different on this side of the gate. The moments when the energy is there in a way it wasn't before. The moments when a choice is easy that used to be hard. The moments when the drift is with you rather than against you. The moments when you are operating from the new story rather than the old one. Notice these. Let them register. Let them become the evidence that the crossing was real. Not because you need to convince yourself, but because the noticing reinforces the new configuration. It tells the field, this is real, this is the direction, this is the frequency. The second practice of integration is returning. You will drift, not away from the new configuration permanently. You have crossed. The wave function has collapsed. The phase transition is real. But you will drift in moments of stress or fatigue or challenge toward the old patterns, toward the old story, toward the old way of being that was the operating system for so long that it runs almost automatically when the new one is under pressure. When this happens, the practice is not to judge it, not to take it as evidence that the crossing was unsuccessful, but to return. Gently, without drama, without self-recrimination. To notice that you have drifted toward the old frequency and to return to the new one, not by forcing it, by choosing it, by making the observation again, by being the quantum observer again, by collapsing the small superposition of this particular moment back into the new configuration. You will return many times. This is not failure. This is stabilization. This is the thermal fluctuations of a system that has just undergone a phase transition, working themselves out as the new state becomes fully established. Each return is the new configuration becoming more solid. Each return is the old patterns losing a little more of their automatic authority. Each return is the crossing becoming more real, more stable, more fully yours. The third practice of integration is expression. At some point, after the stabilization has progressed enough that the new configuration is solid, after the returning has happened enough times that the new frequency is the default rather than the deliberate choice, at some point, the new version of you needs to be expressed, needs to be brought into contact with the world, needs to become visible in your choices, your relationships, your work, your way of inhabiting the life you are living. Not as performance, not as announcement, but as the natural expression of a consciousness that has crossed a threshold and arrived at a new frequency. The way a superconductor that has been cooled to its critical temperature naturally begins to conduct electricity without resistance. Not because it is trying to, not because it is performing superconductivity, but because that is what it is now. That is its state. That is its nature at this temperature. You will naturally express the new configuration, not all at once, not perfectly, not without the ongoing work of being alive and conscious and growing, but naturally, because that is what you are now, because the crossing has happened, because the wave function has collapsed, because the phase transition is real. And as you express it, as the new frequency becomes visible in your choices and your relationships and your work, the external world will begin to reorganize around it. Not immediately, not dramatically, but in the direction of alignment, in the direction of the life that actually matches who you are, in the direction of the version of your reality that was always on the other side of the gate. This is integration. This is how the crossing becomes permanent. This is how the window that just closed behind you becomes the foundation of the next level of your life. There is one more thing that needs to be said. One more thing that is true about this moment, about this crossing, about the window that was open and is now, as you have stepped through it, behind you. You will tell someone about this, not necessarily in words, not necessarily in the explicit language of thresholds and gates and quantum phase transitions, but in the way you move through the world on the other side of this crossing, in the quality of your presence, in the choices you make from the new configuration, in the way you inhabit your life from the frequency you have arrived at. Someone in your world is watching. Someone who is standing at their own threshold, who is feeling their own window beginning to open, who is in the approach phase of their own crossing and doesn't yet have language for what they are feeling, who is experiencing the hum, the tone, the sense of something building, the strange stillness of the approach to the gate. And when they see you, when they encounter the version of you that has crossed, that is operating from the new frequency, that is no longer maintaining the gap between who you are and who the story says you are, something in them will recognize it. Something in them will feel the frequency and know, at the level below ordinary knowing, that crossing is possible, that the gate is real, that the other side exists and is habitable and is worth the terror of the threshold. You will be the evidence for someone else that crossing is possible. Not by telling them what to do, not by proselytizing or performing or trying to convince. Just by being what you are on this side of the gate. Just by living at the frequency of someone who crosses when the window is open. Just by being the living proof that the other side is real. This is the quiet work of everyone who has crossed a threshold. You become the gate for someone else. Not the gate they must go through. Everyone's gate is their own. Everyone's crossing is their own. Everyone's threshold is precisely calibrated to their own consciousness and their own timing and their own quantum field. But the evidence that the gate exists, the demonstration that crossing is possible, the frequency that says, the other side is real. I have been there. It is real. You are that for someone now. Because you have crossed. Because you are here. Because the version of you that exists on this side of the gate is the version that was always trying to emerge. Through all of it, through all the approaches and hesitations and partial crossings and returns, through all the versions of you that were doing the pre-transition work without knowing that's what it was. Through all of it, this version was the direction. This frequency was the destination. This side of the gate was always where you were going, and you are here. The gate is behind you. The window has closed, not because you missed it, because you crossed through it, because you were here when it was open, because something in you recognized the signal and responded to it, because you stood at the threshold and felt the terror and felt the pull of the familiar and stepped through anyway, because you are the kind of being who crosses, and you always were. If this transmission found you at a moment of stillness, return to it there, at the threshold of sleep, in the quiet before the day begins, in any moment when you can feel the gate. And if someone in your life is standing at their own crossing point right now, send this to them, not as a suggestion, but as a bridge. When you share a transmission like this with someone who is ready to receive it, you are not just passing along a video. You are extending the field of what is possible across the threshold they are standing at. Your crossing strengthens theirs. That is how this works. Let's bring this transmission to its close. Not as an ending, crossings don't end, they begin, but as an arrival, as the moment where the guide steps back and the crossed consciousness stands on its own ground and inhabits what has been reached. You came to this transmission at a threshold. You may have known that, or you may not have. You may have felt the gate, or you may have felt only the vague pull of something you couldn't name. But the gate was there. It was real, and the window was open, and you stepped through. You understand now what the window was. A phase transition in your consciousness, the precise moment when the pre-transition work completed and the threshold was reached and the crossing became available. A quantum tunneling event, the moment of maximum probability for moving through a barrier that had seemed solid, that had seemed immovable, that had been the boundary between the old configuration and the new one. A kairos moment, the appointed time, the quality of time that is charged with specific potential, the moment when the arrow needed to be released. You released the arrow. You understand now what is on both sides of the gate. The old configuration, real, valuable, the precise vehicle that brought you to the threshold, now complete in its purpose. And the new configuration, the frequency you have been developing, the version of your life that is aligned with who you actually are. The other side that is not a fantasy, but a real quantum state that was always available and is now the reality you are inhabiting. You understand why now. Because the internal temperature of your consciousness reached 0 degrees. Because the pre-transition work was complete. Because the field was configured for the crossing. Because the probability was peaked. Because the window was open. And you understand what changes. The maintenance cost stops. The energy comes back. The drift changes direction. The clarity arrives. The identity shifts from becoming to arrived. The question of whether you have crossed is answered. It is answered by the fact of the crossing, by the observation that collapsed the superposition, by the phase transition that is real and irreversible. You crossed. You are here. And the integration is underway. The stabilization is happening. The new configuration is becoming solid. The old patterns are surfacing as residue, and you are returning each time to the new frequency. The expression is beginning. The world is beginning to reorganize around the new configuration. The drift is with you now. And somewhere, someone is watching. Someone who is in the approach to their own threshold, who is feeling the hum, who is beginning to hear the tone. And they are going to see you, not your words, not your announcement, but your frequency, your presence, your way of being on this side of the gate. And something in them is going to recognize it. And the window is going to open for them. And they are going to cross. Because you crossed. Because you were here when the window was open. Because you are the kind of being who crosses. The gate is behind you. The window has closed. You are on the other side. And there is no going back. There never is. That is the nature of thresholds. That is the nature of phase transitions. That is the nature of the quantum crossing that you have just made. That you have been making, in truth, for longer than you know. In all the small ways, and the invisible ways, and the ways that felt like nothing was happening when everything was happening. The work was real. The approach was real. The crossing was real. And you are real. This version of you, this frequency, this arrived consciousness that is standing on the other side of the gate that was in front of you when you began this transmission. You are real. You are here. Welcome to the other side. The gate is open for the next one. And when it appears, when the next window opens, when the next threshold becomes visible, when the next Kairos moment arrives in whatever form it takes, you will recognize it. And you will cross, because that is who you are now. That is who you have always been becoming. And now you have arrived. There is a transmission that goes even deeper into the hidden frequency running beneath all of this. The one inside your body they never mapped. The one that has been shaping your entire reality from below the level of ordinary awareness. If what you experienced here is still moving through you, that one is already waiting.